Today is air fryer day. Woo! This is my awesome air fryer. I brought it to Charlotte's house because she doesn't have one.
Yet.
She's thinking about getting one. We got ours for Christmas last year. I gave it to my husband. He's funny. We would be watching a cooking show, or we would be going someplace, or even in the grocery store, and he'd be like, have you ever thought about getting an air fryer? He would drop these hints. So I got it for him for Christmas, but really I do most of the cooking, so it's really for me. He's not much of a cook.
No.
He does use the air fryer. It was a good purchase for us.
We had to move the air fryer because I'm so short I could hardly see over it. Now you know this is a video about air fryers. We should absolutely get into our first make-ahead air fryer recipe, which is the beef and bean burritos, because I have a house full of teen and young adults. They want food all the time.
All the time.
Doesn't matter that I have a freezer full of freezer meals. I feed them every day. They are hungry at midnight. They are hungry at 5 in the morning.
And if there is not something for them to eat at midnight, they will make their own thing. And then I hear about it because they don't always clean up as nicely behind themselves as they should.
Do their dishes.
They don't do their dishes.
So if I don't have things for them to eat, they make themselves pierogies or pasta, which take the strainer, the pot, and whatever bowl or plate they use, the cutlery. Sometimes one makes pierogies and one makes pasta and one makes ramen. I've had signs up. Is this your dish? Yes, then do it.
She's gone on strike.
I have.
She has a protest tea towel that I gave to you. It's got a little bird on it that's holding a sign like it's protesting. And I'm like, this is for Charlotte.
So the beef and bean burritos.
The answer is
one of
burritos.
those things where I can have them, that and chicken taquitos, which also work really well in the air fryer, the breakfast burritos, all those things where they can just take one out at a time, warm it up themselves. I love having these in the freezer. We're gonna get to the recipe right now. You're going to mix some browned ground beef with a bit of taco seasoning and water. Then on a burrito-sized flour tortilla, you're going to spread a smear of refried beans and some of that taco meat. If you want, you can add some peppers or onions, and you're going to wrap this burrito style. You can also add some cheese in there, or you can top them with cheese. I've got kids with lactose issues, so I don't add cheese in mine. Then you're gonna wrap each one in some aluminum foil, get those into a large resealable freezer bag, because then they can take them out individually. They can even take them to work with them or school with them. These can be heated up in the microwave, but then they tend to get a little bit soggy because of that flour tortilla. I have heard, because I don't have an air fryer, but Christy does, that these are amazing in the air fryer and they crisp up. So you're just going to place 1 or 2 or 3 or 4.
It isn't something that you want to crowd. You never want to crowd your air fryer.
2 of these burritos into your air fryer basket, and you're gonna cook them, if they're thawed, at 375 for just 8 to 10 minutes. You might want to flip them over once during that cooking time. You can spray them with some cooking spray. That will help them to crisp up in there as well.
Barbecue salmon is something that we would traditionally do in the oven or maybe on the barbecue. It is something that can also be done in your air fryer. We cut our big salmon fillet into portion-sized pieces before we put them into the freezer bag so that they're fairly even. So we start out with our salmon right into the freezer bag. We are going to add in barbecue sauce of whatever kind you like. You can use your favorite. We're going to add in a little bit of brown sugar, some sliced onion, and some salt and pepper to taste. Once that's all in there, you can squish it around to make sure it's mixed, and that saves you a bowl. And then we're going to take all the air out that we can. We know that air causes our freezer burn, and so air is therefore the enemy, and you seal it up and freeze it. On the day of cooking, like I said, nice in the oven, great in the barbecue, but where it really can shine and be quick is in your air fryer. This one, we want to have it thawed, and You know, when you're cutting a salmon fillet, there's part of it that's all the same thickness until the end, and then it's kind of a thinner piece. Those thinner pieces at the end, you want to cook those together, and the thicker pieces, you want to cook those together. That way you're having an even bake on it, and it's cooked just when it flakes nicely with a fork. And in this case, 400 degrees for 7 to 9 minutes. You don't need to flip this. Fish is tough to flip. It can fall apart on you. This is one, like we always get the Costco one and it comes without the skin. This is actually one that I wouldn't mind having the skin on because then it would get crispy. I might try flip it just so I can get that skin crispy. It's good for you. That's where the omegas come from, is that layer of fat between the skin and the fillet. If you like fish and you like the fish skin, this would be a wonderful way to have that.
This Mediterranean chicken is one that we have done as a sheet pan meal, and it is so good. But you can also do it in your air fryer. Some of our sheet pan meals transfer beautifully to the air fryer, and a lot of them are really healthy and kind of have almost the full meal. So that's a really great thing about it. Into your large freezer bag, you're going to add some boneless, skinless chicken thighs, some purple onion that is chopped into large chunks, some sun-dried tomato and oregano salad dressing. Just a note here that 1 bottle of the salad dressing will make 4 meals. So if you wanted to quadruple this and have 4 of these in your freezer ready to go, you could do that and just be using 1 bottle. Then you're going to use some minced garlic. We just add ours from a jar. Dried or fresh mint, lemon juice, capers. Now it calls for 2 tablespoons in our recipe. We tend to be pretty generous with the capers because both of our families really like them. And then you're going to add some Kalamata olives that are pitted. You can leave those whole or you can slice them. That's everything that is going into your freezer bag. You're gonna get as much air as you can out of your bag, seal it and freeze it. On the day that you go to make this, you are going to need a few more ingredients, but they're ones that don't hold up great in the freezer, so they're ones we add fresh the day of. You're gonna thaw this, and then for this one, we suggest that you line your air fryer with an air fryer liner, or you could use parchment paper and just cut it to the size that you need. You're going to preheat your air fryer to 380 degrees. You're going to spoon this in. Now, this has marinated in the sauce, but it's probably too saucy for an air fryer, so we're going to suggest that you just take everything out, you scoop it out of that marinade and add it into your air fryer that way. The reason you're going to need that parchment paper or air fryer liner is because otherwise those capers will fall through your grate, and losing the capers is like a bit of a tragedy.
That's a catastrophe.
You're gonna throw some grape tomatoes or baby tomatoes on top of that. You're gonna cook this for 18 to 20 minutes. You can flip it once during cooking. Your chicken is fully cooked when it reaches 165 degrees. If you're using a meat thermometer, Christy swears by her meat thermometer.
I'm a convert.
You're gonna top this with some crumbled feta, put it back in for another 30 seconds to a minute. You just kind of want that to crisp up, and then you have your full meal. You can serve this with rice or quinoa if you like, but it's so healthy because you've got the tomatoes and the feta cheese and the capers and the olives and the chicken and the purple onions. It's really pretty because of the purple onions.
It's true. This recipe is another convert from an oven recipe to an air fryer recipe, and it is the honey mustard and herb drumstick. Now, this one, kind of like the Mediterranean one, has a bit of sauce here. So in this case, we're treating the sauce as a marinade. So you have choices when it comes to time for cooking, but let's get into the recipe. We start out in our bag with our drumsticks. We're going to add in some melted honey, some cider vinegar, some grainy Dijon mustard, some minced garlic, some herbe de Provence, and some salt and pepper. Mix that all around nicely in your bag. Get as much air as you can out and seal it. For the day of cooking, if you were to do this in the oven, you would dump the entire bag into your casserole dish. Partway through your cooking, you could take a spoon and put it on an angle, and that drippings that are coming off of your drumsticks, you could baste onto the drumsticks, which gives it more flavor, makes it juicier. A little tough to do in an air fryer, so we're going to suggest that either you baste it early on You can do it. It'll fall down into the bottom and you won't get it back, and that's okay. Or you could put the juice from it on the stovetop in a pot and drizzle it on at the end, because we want to make sure that it's safe to eat. You know your air fryer better than I know your air fryer. Once you get used to it, you understand if you need things to be a little bit hotter or a little bit cooler, or cook things a little bit longer. One thing that is consistent with all air fryers is you want to give everything in there lots of room. So the drumsticks, maybe you only want to put 4 or 5 drumsticks per side, and then do it twice. 380 for 20 minutes, and then we're going to crank it up to 400 for another 5 minutes to let it crisp up. Again, with the meat thermometer, when you're dealing with bone-in chicken, I kind of like to have it a little higher than the 165. Like I get into the 170, 180 range before I take it out and let it rest. You pick the time that works for you. If you want to drizzle the sauce on, make sure that you are familiar with your air fryer enough to make sure that chicken is cooked properly. Go ahead and flip it partway through so that it does get crispy on all sides. This is such a nice flavorful one. It's mild and gentle. It isn't bang of a flavor, but it's just delicious.
The recipe that we have coming up, we actually made it in our last mega session. I'm gonna put a link right there to our mega session. For those of you that don't know, every 3 months, Christy and I get together and we make both of our families 3 months worth of meals so that we never have to think about what to make for dinner again. And it is amazing. We've been doing it together. We did it separately before that, but we've been doing it together for almost 12 years.
It's kind of amazing
to think about. This last freezer meal session, we again tried some new things, and then we threw in our tried and true that we know we're gonna love, because we've kind of become freezer meal experts over the years.
There's no kinda. We are freezer meal experts. We have tried it all.
We did have
We have some fails
this time, and we always have had at least one fail in those mega sessions because we're trying so many new things. This recipe that I'm going to tell you about is not a fail, and it's one that we had tried before the mega session, so it was one of those tried and true ones. So while we are not yet air fryer experts,
we're getting there.
We're trying. So this is our sausage gnocchi sheet pan meal, which we are converting to tell you how to do this in your air fryer. To make this ahead as a freezer meal, you're going to add some potato gnocchi into a large freezer bag. Now you can use the shelf stable or the fresh gnocchi. We used the fresh gnocchi in ours. Then some cubed red pepper, yellow pepper, and orange pepper, and those are in big, large chunks. Some purple onion, also in large chunks. Some andouille or chorizo sausage that's been sliced and halved, a little bit of minced garlic, some oregano, salt, and a splash of olive oil. You just toss that together in the bag to combine it, get all the air that you can out, seal it, freeze it, and on the day you go to cook this, you're gonna thaw it, preheat your air fryer to 400 degrees, and you are going to toss this in there. Again, depending on the size of your air fryer, you might need to do it in 2 batches. This is one where you also might want to use an air fryer liner just so that the peppers and things don't fall down in your grates. We will put a link to our Amazon store in the description below, and you can find air fryer liners in there if you like. Then you're just going to cook this for 13 minutes. It is so good. You've got your veggies in there, you've got your carb, and you've got your protein. So full meal. With these recipes, you can do basically a full week of meals made ahead. If you go into our Freezer Meals 101 Club and click the air fryer button, all of our air fryer recipes will filter for you. Then you can make even more weeks of air fryer meals if you're totally loving on your air fryer.
Thanks for watching today. We were so glad you were here with us.
Happy cooking.